Ladies and gentlemen, I'm MicOne, you're awesome, and welcome to the 9th episode of ARMA Shoutcast. With me today is Bravo Company's own Don.
Hey guys.
And we're excited to bring you this match today, so let's kick things off with the teams. On BLUFOR, we've got Bravo Company, the 48th Mech, 29th ID, the 21st Viking, 2nd MSOB, and on OPFOR, we've got the 3rd ID, Bourbon Warfare, OGC, Mercy, and the BOR. Right off the bat here, we see a large BLUFOR element pushing down the coastal road towards the enemy-held mining town, but looks like there's OPFOR already watching that approach. Don, what do you take of the BLUFOR's initial movement patterns here?
I mean, if they could take down those guys before they can get back to lead, then amazing, because most of the map is really flat and they would have trouble otherwise.
Yeah, and it looks like it's the majority of BLUFOR elements heading down that flank. So at this point, I just think they're gonna be able to overpower the defending OPFORs on this side. I mean, there's only 4 of them, a fire team's worth of OPFOR to basically penetrate or basically defend against the whole, at least half of the attacking BLUFOR force. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the objective for this match is to destroy the communications tower held in this mining town. Taking a look at the area around the mining town, we see that there is some enterable buildings, as well as, hard structures for the BLUFOR to defend from, including several bunker complexes on the outskirts of that town. OPFOR decided to take a pretty large defensive line, wouldn't you agree? I mean, down through this coastal, flank, but, I mean, I'm not exactly sure how this is going to work out for BLUFOR at this time. They've pushed all their guys down that coastal flank. Nowhere else is BLUFOR advancing at this time, meaning if they attack on this flank and the other OPFOR decide to advance forward, they have a chance of getting enveloped with their backs to the water on this coastal side.
I think Stardock should keep his head down, because if anything, he's going to be the first one to get spotted.
Bravo Company leading the charge as we see the BLUFOR units deciding to take a quick halt, probably for stamina at this time, as the REDFOR continue to hold their positions by some hard cover rocks. And looking in front of them, I mean, they don't have, or the BLUFOR don't have that much hard cover to, really defend themselves against OPFOR bullets in this advance. There's a lot of open ground coming, but looking at the coastal advance, oh, that's a team leader with binocs. I mean, I was just thinking they might not be able to see the BLUFOR if they advance, on the water's edge, way down on this this depression here, but unfortunately, they've chosen to take the upper road, meaning those BLUFOR have a large chance of being spotted, especially because that team leader is on the I guess I'm not sure what kind of flank this is, but on the, extreme flank of the OPFOR positions at this time.
I'm hearing some single fire coming from the rocks overlooking the beach.
Yeah, I wasn't quite able to ID where that's coming from. I don't see the trace on the map. Can you ID the specific unit firing?
It has to be somewhere around Brendan's spot.
Yeah, and well, just as I said, the team leader element might not be able to see down this coastal side. He decides to advance, takes a little peek down that close coastal slope to make sure that there's no BLUFOR pushing that side. He doesn't see any. The BLUFOR is still quite a ways away at this time. He decides to change his positions and possibly spot the BLUFOR approach. Take a look at the BLUFOR right now. That's a lot of guys clumped up at those rocks. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a 90-player PvP match that is part of Friday Night Fights, a weekly ARMA 3 large-scale player versus player, team versus team, invite-only ARMA 3 match that is played, again, every Friday. If you want to get your unit or military milsim group involved, be sure to visit bravoco.us/FNF for more info.
I think the BLUFOR are way too bunched up on that beach, and I heard some GLs go off, and I'm not feeling good about it.
Ooh, wow, right as you say that, Don, that GL exploded. I mean, you gotta, very lucky for BLUFOR. It's just right in the middle of all their units, but definitely a precarious situation for the BLUFOR attack right now. And they just keep going back, Don. That's a lot of BLUFOR on that flank. God. Wow.
They need to spread out. I mean, there's at least 20 units sitting on those rocks right now.
If only this fire team knew what was approaching. Man, they would be very scared, as would I, as they are facing approximately, what was the number? I think 39 or 49?
Yes, there's 39 Op4 and 48 BLUFOR.
So 48 BLUFOR attacking this position. That GL was pretty darn accurate. Wasn't able to get a kill. Probably injured this infantry Joe, part of Bravo Company, on this slope here. So definitely the Op4 knows that there's something pushing down that coastal route. They haven't been able to identify the extent of what's coming at them, but a few of these, the forward Bravo Company team, we can suppose have been spotted. Let's take a quick... No, go ahead.
Yeah. If you look at Radio Rage, he should be able to spot Clicky right now sitting on a rock.
Taking a look at the team list right now.
There we go.
Major first firefight of the match. And here's the returning fire from BLUFOR down on these paws. Some accurate fire coming in at Radio Rage. The unit you mentioned earlier wasn't able to take him out. Now we see some returning fire from the beach side too, coming in from Infantry Joe. But oh man, there's a lot of BLUFOR here, and now they know that their flank has been compromised. They have got to push this position, but it's going to be very, very difficult for them to do so.
Oh my goodness, I haven't noticed, but BLUFOR has sent all their units down this coast.
All of them, yep. It looks like I think they might be trying to correct for this now, or at least try and deviate from their strategy. Those two rear elements of deviating into the center of the battlefield here, possibly to make a push on at least on the, to push the middle of the Op4 defensive line and relieve pressure from that embattled coastal force.
Op4 coastal team is retreating.
Yeah, I would say this might be a good move. I mean, if they were able to be reinforced, that would probably be the best move for Op4. But again, because of the fog of war, they don't know that what's coming at them is the entirety of the BLUFOR force. So pulling back from that position while they have all their units intact is probably a very good idea on their part.
Definitely, I agree. I mean, I'm actually really happy that Op4 has only scattered units in the trees and moved out of town. That's a very good call from them. They could scout out, and most of their troops are safe.
Absolutely. As we take an overhead view of this matchup, we see lots of fire being exchanged from the coastal Op4 elements as well as the coastal BLUFOR elements. But seeing some of the fire coming down now, the units that were pushing towards the center of the Op4 defensive line seem to have been spotted. They're shooting back at the Op4, so those units have definitely been spotted, taking some return fire as well. So we see the fire picking up here between 90 players in this. I think this might be the largest Friday Night Fight turnout and matchup ever. As we see the fireworks just going right across this no man's land courtyard between the two teams. What an epic firefight so far, Don.
I am glad those GLs are not accurate.
Yeah, those GLs would be supremely effective on this position. Oh man, all these BLUFOR deciding, well, I mean, they're not entirely clumped up, but they are all on the same pause, that's for darn sure.
Yeah, no, definitely. They at least 10 would feel it if it hit accurately.
So let's quickly theorize why BLUFOR would take this approach, and I think I see why. If we take a look at the Op4 defensive town, on the other side of the coastal side, there's a whole bunch of enterable buildings and barracks areas, and these areas are basically a large kill zone that the defenders can, take refuge in and attack any BLUFOR attackers, with the advantage of having hard cover and little windows to peek out of and move through. So by not taking the other route, they basically avoid this enterable building section and are able to attack the tower from a section that's, a lot less defended, only some fences and a scattered bunker.
Yeah, and I definitely agreed that they should have sent most of their units this way, but I wouldn't have sent all my units in one way. It's putting all your eggs in one basket. That's never a good idea.
Right now, we see a huge smoke screen going out for the BLUFOR units as they extend smoke across that coastal line as well as some of the center area to cover their advance. Looks like there's a pretty large BLUFOR fire team moved into the very center of the field right now, and it looks like they're going to be continuing moving that way, hoping to spread their units out and not get clumped up as they are on this coastal approach.
Oh my goodness, they definitely need to pick it up and move it.
And we
I mean,
see...
some of the units should have stayed on the coast at least.
Yeah, it looks like they're trying to make that push now. Bravo Company again leading the charge. Moving forward on that coastal approach, the rest of the teams following up. And this is exactly what they need to do. And to be honest, Don, looking down at that Op 4 position, I'm not sure they have that coastal approach covered. That Bravo Company element will be able to advance pretty darn far without coming under fire.
Interesting enough, the technical has moved out of town, and I don't know where it is.
That's absolutely right. The Op 4 did have a 50 cal off-road at their disposal in this matchup. And it's just a matter of finding where it went. There it went. Yeah, way in the back of the lines there. Slowly moving up, covering the holes of the Op 4 defense. That's probably a good idea. I mean, if anything, using that thing to flank around the whole BLUFOR element would be, you know, the prime option. But again, ladies and gentlemen, the Fog of War, they don't know that BLUFOR has sent their entire force down on that coastal flank. And look at that. Don, I think that's the whole of Bravo Company on that coastal approach right there. And they're advancing unopposed down this side. And if they keep moving that way, they'll be coming under contact with this Op 4 element fairly soon. But look at that. Only one Op 4 element covering that approach versus 1 versus 20. I'm taking the odds of the 20, Don.
Definitely. I think they made a good call pushing down and pushing hard down that coast.
Yep, I mean,
think Op 4 should have more eyes on the coast,
and
knowing that they've been approached that way before.
Let's imagine that BLUFOR do take this Op 4 position. Looking forward, I mean, the Op 4 on this frontal, I guess frontal defensive line are going to be totally outflanked by this advancing BLUFOR force, putting BLUFOR, I think, into a really good position. I mean, taking a meander through the previous positions where BLUFOR were, you know, fairly clumped up. I'm not seeing many casualties on that line. There's one there, but I mean, looks like they didn't necessarily lose a whole lot on that approach. Ooh, there's some casualties towards the center though, where they're taking heavy fire.
No, I think most of the casualties were taken on the 48th MI side, but other than that, I don't see a lot of casualties being taken.
Corporal Rogers, I'm not exactly sure what unit he is from, but he is leading the charge in this center advance here, crawling through some bushes towards the Op 4 defenders who are approximately 150 meters away from him. And let's take a look over at the Bravo Company squad as Sklor, the platoon leader, first in line of this attack, and he is looking on the direct flank of that Op 4 element. But I think they think something's up. They know something's up as that Op 4, I believe it's just a rifleman, has pushed towards the coast and is under fire. So they know there's units on their flank now. We'll see how that Op 4 unit responds.
I think it's a little too late for Op 4 to be realizing BLUFOR is on their doorstep.
Definitely, we see them orienting towards that coastal approach, but as you said, perhaps it is too late. Bravo Company's in position down in that bay, ready to charge up that rise and attack the Op 4 on their flank.
There's only 3 units looking at that coast right now. I can't believe it.
You know what? This might have been an ingenious move from Sklor, the platoon leader. Because if you look back at the Op 4 defenses, the majority, or at least a large part of the Op 4 defenses, are located in that hard cover, you know, building structure, or at least building cluster that we mentioned before. And that flank that they're attacking on is fairly undefended.
Definitely, it's not, and I feel that BLUFOR are not going to have much of a hard time getting into the town, but when it comes to getting to that tower, they're going to have a really hard time since they don't have a lot of cover on that side of town.
I'm on board with Deeds right now, and he is on the coastal, I mean the closest Op 4 element towards that coastal advance for the Op 4. Oh man, and you can see on your screen, ladies and gentlemen, those dots are BLUFOR infantry moving up the rise in front of him. So he's got to maintain his AR towards that sector if Op4 are going to have a chance of defending this assault. He was looking towards his side there as his Op4 units decide to retreat once more away from the advancing BLUFOR, but perhaps it'll be too late as the BLUFOR right now are coming over the rise towards that Op4 retreating element.
Yassi's technical is moving towards the coastline right now.
Let's take a look. Ooh, very slow as that techie decides to move. Covering the retreat of his fellow Op4 soldiers. Good move. But right now, Bravo Company advanced. It looks like some of them are on the flat ground now. They've made it on the precarious position of advancing up that hillside. And now they are ready to conduct their flanking maneuvers and assault into the BLUFOR defenses. But as you say that, the technical of Yahtzee moving very close to the BLUFOR line. We'll see how that technical does. And bam! Lots of shots going down on that flank. What an awesome position for that technical. Let's go on the ground level to see how it looks. And wow, yeah, you can see that technical moving off now under heavy fire from that BLUFOR element. Do you see any casualties from Bravo Company from that technical dawn?
I don't think they took any casualties.
Yeah, I don't see any. Dropped a backpack here.
Yeah, they see a backpack, but no bodies.
Backpack, but no bodies is good. As the BLUFOR decides to pull up into that flat ground. And I'm surprised right now. I'm taking an overview of the map. I mean, the BLUFOR lines definitely look to be extended at this point. That the BLUFOR units in the center have established a fairly, good position behind some hard cover, rocks and trees in that center area. Hopefully taking some of the, awareness and, manpower away from that Op4 extreme coastal flank, which seems to be the main element of the BLUFOR attack.
Definitely. It looks to me like the rest of the BLUFOR forces have been thinned out a lot, coming towards the center.
Yeah, I totally agree. I was taking a quick peek back there earlier. There's not as much, bodies on that position as I remember. It looks like
so accurate fire from the town.
Yeah, it looks like BLUFOR are going to have some, reinforcing elements near that coastal side, advancing slowly to help Bravo Company in this flanking assault right now. Bravo Company finally reaching some hard cover on this plateau. One unit going down. They're under heavy fire from that Op4 unit that decided to move back. And Don, I guess we have to congratulate to a certain point this Op4 coastal element deciding to pull back twice. I mean, sure, you could have said they could have made a valiant stand holding their line against 20 attackers, but this is probably the better and, smarter option for this Op4 force.
Definitely. From, my definition of valiant is not stupid, so pulling back was definitely the right call.
Absolutely. And now you can see that Op4 has kind of reestablished himself in a way that their lines have countered the flank of the BLUFOR. They've established themselves from a straight horizontal line to almost an L-shaped curve, or at least, a diagonal defensive line meeting this BLUFOR advance.
They're doing a very good job. I mean, 3 units holding the most of BLUFOR back. I mean, the technical is in and out helping them, but definitely moved out, and I don't even know where it is right in the moment.
I think it pushed back towards...
Oh, it's in trees.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I
think they dropped it off in trees. Yeah.
I mean, that tactical is important for its mobility, but again, you don't want to lose it because it's not armored. That gunner can get shot out very easily, as we've seen in past ARMA 3 Shoutcast matches. Ooh, BLUFOR bodies litter the ground of this plateau towards the forwardmost BLUFOR positions on this advance. We see a BLUFOR team, continuing to move on that flank, hoping to outflank their defenders once more, but I think the defenders have already become too consolidated in their new defensive lines to really be effective with that.
Yeah, I mean, from what it looks like, they have a good settled position, and the BLUFOR are only thinning out now.
So an interesting match so far. It began with us really just perplexed about the whole BLUFOR force advancing down this coastline, And I guess it's just come to a point where we realize that that coastline approach was probably their best bet for attacking this town and getting an epic flank off. But we've got to admit, as we said with the off-4 defenders earlier on this coastal advance, or on this coastal side, that their retreating movements were probably the saving grace of this off-4 force, and they were able to re-establish their defensive lines and mount a very stern defense against the attacking BLUFOR at this time.
Yeah, BLUFOR definitely made the right choice advancing towards the coastline, but the fact that they pushed all their units in one coastline, or in one direction, was where their plan failed, for me at least. I think you should at least have 2 different points of, like, catching attention of the enemy to where they need to... Because if they have to only pay attention to one point, I mean, it's very easy to defend.
Absolutely. I mean, we saw the BLUFOR advancing into the center from this coastline, took a lot of fire, and were spotted while they were exiting that depression. Here's one of those casualties from that approach, I guess, out of the coastline. And right now, the middle elements, the center elements, haven't moved very much since we last spoke of them.
No, they haven't, and I'm actually surprised that they're almost letting the enemy know that they're thinned out. If you're thinning out and you're losing your positions, I would keep up the fire. Make it look like you're bigger than you are. Confuse the enemy or make them, you know...
I mean, we're looking at the off-4 lines that center BLUFOR force is facing, and to be honest, there's not that much. I mean, there's the bunker complex, which is, you know, very scary. There is, you know, some units and scattered infantry in light tree cover, but other than that, that center element does not face much enemy contact for at least another maybe like 200-300 meters.
Yeah, they haven't, but I mean, they were fighting them before, they were engaging them before, and they should be still engaging them now. Like, there you go. There you go, Justin. Keep fire.
There's a fire coming down, yep.
Yeah, I mean, they should still be engaging it. They should still make it look like they're bigger than they are. Because right now, it just shows Op4 that, you know, they lost their, they lost their impact. And now they could just, focus their fire on the BLUFOR element on the coast.
An update on this, I guess, flanking BLUFOR attack. Man, it looks like it's unfortunately stalled as they have taken heavy casualties on this flank from the dug-in Op4 defenders, and they're still at that main rock complex that we mentioned earlier on this plateau section. Looking around, it is open ground as far as the eye can see. There's, I mean, like a small amount of tree cover that leads in towards that bunker complex, but getting the run towards that tree cover is another scary bound.
Is that attempted friendly fire by Cookie?
We can only imagine that he's maybe shooting past the friendlies towards the Op4 positions near the rocks.
Might. It was very close, though.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that Op4 has dropped off your technical in the forest. I don't see anything wrong with it.
I mean, perhaps they decided to maintain a stagnant position, and maybe they thought they could be better on foot with any assets they may have. I'm not sure if their gunner, you know, has an AR or something like that, but yeah, interesting decision for that technical.
Oh, BLUFOR is pulling back into the coast.
I think
looking
that's a
for
good
different
move.
Approach.
That's got to be the best move, right? I mean, they took a lot of casualties by this rocks. Admit defeat on this flank and try to make a new one. But it looks like Op4 have already countered it, Don. Look at that. The Op4 know. And they are already positioned in, I guess, a position where they can counter the counter flank from BLUFOR. What an interesting game of movement we see taking place right now between the two teams, Don.
Definitely. I mean, it's Yatsi's team. I expect him to know a lot about flanks by now.
Taking a look is, you know, at the units in between. Well, I was about to say the Op4 defensive line that we mentioned earlier that shifted has a weak spot in the center. But as I said, that looks like some Op4 elements are relocating to fill that gap or possibly walk right by it and secure the rear of the compound.
Yeah, I think they're making the right move as well. There's going to be nothing approaching from the area, from the previous attempted flank. So, you know, pushing your units to secure the back, from where the new units are moving to is definitely the right call. I mean, and they don't know that the BLUFOR, the thinned out BLUFOR are still there, so...
Absolutely.
Definitely.
On that flank, we see
call.
units of the 48th Mechanized Infantry and Bravo Company working side by side. As we mentioned before, this is a multi-community event, which means you're not going to be exactly familiar with all the friendlies playing on your side, and it's good to see some communication between those two sides working together to try to make this flank work. And as we say that, Don, it looks like there's only 3 defenders left on that off-4 flank, or at least anti-flank, that are defending that position against the BLUFOR attackers. Taking a look back inside the mining complex, there's some defenders near some foliage by the outer fence. But other than that, that flank looks to be, pretty good.
I mean, if they could take out Yahtzee's defenders right now, then they have a pretty good open spot to engage on the objective.
Where did they park that technical? Because I mean, if they continue this approach, will the BLUFOR be in the line of advance of utilizing that technical?
It's pretty much like, I don't know, 200 meters behind Yahtzee towards the town. It's in the trees.
Oh yeah, I got eyes. I mean, if they continue that approach, they won't take fire in this tree line. They could utilize that abandoned technical that off4 left behind. As we see now, the units of the flanking BLUFOR force starting to come out of that, coastal rise again. They're faced by Yahtzee with an MMG, or maybe perhaps that's rifle, and he goes down. So, ladies and gentlemen, that flanking force in its entirety looks to have been eliminated. BLUFOR have a free pass towards the off4 held compound, and what's waiting for them is a free, nice, shiny technical with a large gun on the back, that they can utilize in this assault.
I don't know if they can enter enemy vehicles.
I'm not exactly sure. Let's hope that they can, because the comedic value and irony of that would be fantastic. It looks like right now, the movement patterns of this unit is funny. They moved up on the coast. Now they've crossed the entire map to get on the other flank of the OP4. And they are facing the units that we talked about earlier that are entrenched inside these enterable buildings. It's going to be a very hard, very tough advance for these BLUFOR units on the opposite flank of where we've been watching for most of the match.
The opposite flank is already getting engaged and getting help from the center teams. But it's only 3 units moving this way. At least deviating attention, like I've mentioned before. And
the center team, there's not much left of it. 4 guys is all that's left of that center elements. 4 guys and a flanking force of 3, Don. So we're really, if we want to see a BLUFOR victory here, it's got to come from the overwhelming power of this flanking force. This is probably one of their main elements and one of their best efforts at taking out the win in this match.
We've got about 4 different other units from BLUFOR scattered between the center and the flanking force. So, 6.
Yeah, I mean, that's still quite a bit considering the numbers that it's come down to right now. As I'm taking a look at the total numbers for both sides, we can see that BLUFOR and OP4, I'm not sure. I want to say that the OP4 still have a few more units than BLUFOR at this time, which is a scary, kind of concept when you are the defenders and outman power the attackers, or outnumber at least. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah, the OP4 seem to have 24 remaining units, if I'm correct.
And the BLUFOR?
Looking at it now.
Less. Looks like less. That's my guess.
19.
Ooh.
It's not that bad.
It's not that bad,
It's 5 difference.
But again, ladies and gentlemen, we do start off the BLUFOR, the attackers, with more units than the defenders, as the defender advantage usually makes up for the, unit differentiation in these matchups. As we see, that basically being shown right now. Now the OP4 outnumber the attackers, and looking at that flanking element, again, Sklor leading the charge. The platoon leader for the blue side is the forward-most element on that flank.
Embracing his inner Marine.
Yeah, embracing his inner Marine indeed, living out his old days as we see the rest of the blue. He's running back to the BLUFOR line saying, "Hey guys, our forward is clear, let's go." They're going to be listening to him, I'm sure. As we look back towards the base, interesting move here, Don. A Op4 element, a pretty sizable Op4 element at that, looking at 6 guys pushed back towards what I think is a power building of some kind.
I think it's the mines, if I'm correct.
Yeah, no, you're right. It is the large enterable buildings that is part of the mine complex. And they're going to be taking positions in there. Maybe they're scared that the flank along the coastal route, and they've gone a lot further than they think they have. I'm going to be putting up the map of the actual in-game map for this game right now, and you can see the black lines on this map, ladies and gentlemen. Those are the boundaries, the general boundaries for each side that we ask both sides to stay within. So, I mean, I'm not sure. I guess those boundaries dictate that they can't, maintain on this coastal route, even though this unit is. But that rear off-4 element probably would be better moving into the forward tree lines near that technical.
I agree with you completely. I think they pulled their units way too far back, and they're not gonna have much impact back there. So they basically just evened out the forces for BLUFOR.
Because looking right now in I guess the line of approach for that flanking BLUFOR force, they've really got no off-4 units to contend with on this flank. They've all moved to this rear mining complex and/or are situated in the cluster of buildings that we mentioned at the beginning of this match.
Yeah, the only 2 units that I see that could possibly raise some health for them are the 2 at the center building that looks like to be some sort of processing for the mine.
Most definitely, we see a charge across open ground with lots of smoke by the BLUFOR flanking force near the lake. But man, looking at what they're facing, Op4 entrenched in the second story of this house, it's going to be a very tough advance through the smoke.
I'm actually surprised that I made it that far with the Op4 looking straight at him.
Right? I mean, that's basically I guess, one of the advantages of having it be, firstly, nighttime with no night vision goggles, and secondly, having a lot of foliage to cover the sight lines of your approach.
Agree. It's not that dark to where I would use night vision goggles, to be honest, but still, the Op4 should have definitely taken more than 1 unit on that flank.
Definitely. Looking up at the sky, it's a full moon out, and that's why the nighttime looks fairly bright in this matchup now.
Good choice by the map maker.
Most definitely. Thank you, Stardog. At least I would love it if it was daytime, but Stardog really likes night matches, and who can blame him when you really get these close quarters engagements all the time, which are arguably the most fun to watch.
Definitely. I absolutely love playing like in Twilight. It definitely makes the match a lot more interesting.
It just, I guess, showcases as well the versatility of ARMA 3 and the ability to really change the face of a battlefield with, the time of day and how that affects gameplay and how it comes down to even, how bright the moon is in these engagements.
Oh, definitely. I don't know whether we've noticed this before, but it seems that either Op4 or BLUFOR Fire has taken out most of the lights in the city.
Huh.
Which seems to be like a very defensive.
Yeah, we're taking a look at a few of the lights now, and they are all off. I guess, from a defender's perspective, they don't want the attackers to ID where that objective is, and that's probably a very good idea on their part.
Yeah, I mean, if it was the Op4 choosing to take out some lights, then I am proud of them.
Yeah, most definitely. That's a great defensive move. That just adds that extra little bit of defensibility of this position at this time.
We seem to have a unit of 4 about to move into the town.
Yeah, they are getting real close. And Don, I don't think there's any Op4 units in a position to, fight off this attack right now.
Yeah, absolutely not. I feel like they're gonna have a straight way through if they decide to enter the town now.
Saying that, taking a look at the outer fence, there doesn't seem to be an opening anywhere along this approach. So they're either going to have to somehow blow, a hole through this fence or advance all the way to the bunker complex. And even then, there's not an opening. So, the question is, how do they get into this compound and beyond the first line of defense, of natural defense of this position?
That kind of sucks, I'll be honest. There should be an opening in that fence.
Yeah, I don't see any. I'm sure they might even think to, launch a GL or a grenade into that fence and hopefully destroy it. I'm pretty sure that these fences are destructible. But other than that, the closest entrance seems to be the rear road into the compound.
The inner Rambo in me wants me to, wants them to take the technical and just ram it through the fence.
Unfortunately, they've missed the technical, forest clump right now. We have 2 BLUFOR units on either side of the forest in which that technical is located. And again, the inner Rambo of me is also wishing that they find this technical and do something very fun with it.
If they're capable of doing so, yeah.
Yeah, but with their current movement patterns, it looks like they're going to run right by it.
It looks like we have 10 minutes remaining, so they're going to definitely be pushing now.
And push indeed, as we see the elements towards the lake have consolidated those center elements and are pushing towards the 2-story held by the OPFOR defenders. And they're doing some damage too. The OPFOR in this building are suppressed and with casualties inside, so they are not able to fire at the OPFOR or at the BLUFOR attackers right now. And the BLUFOR are actually at a pretty darn good position inside this rock right now. Well, there's only one.
I'm still surprised he's up. They started with only 3, and the fact that it's been about 20 minutes and he's still up.
They've definitely
wants me to give him props.
crossed a lot of ground in this mission. Advancing from the coast, advancing across the whole battlefield, now advancing towards the 2-story building complex of OPFOR. But I'm not sure how great their chances are. Looks like the OPFOR is reinforcing these forward buildings, going to be able to provide more fire against these BLUFOR attackers as these REDFOR units inside these buildings get set up.
Yeah, I think that OPFOR should have some units outside of the buildings. Better eyes. I mean, being in a building is great, having the defensive stance and having something to cover you, but you lose a lot of line of vision being in a building.
Most definitely. Taking a look over by that mining complex, and maybe this was a good idea. I wasn't sure that you can get on top of this large mining building, but apparently you can, and we see 3 OPFOR units taking position on top of this building, able to provide fire support down onto the attacking BLUFOR forces. They're also receiving a lot of fire too.
Yeah, that BLUFOR team that's receiving fire has only taken 1 casualty so far. That's definitely some accurate fire incoming, hitting that rock straight on.
Yeah, I mean, this roof is blazing away with their rifles. I don't think there is an AR up here, so that's a lot more firepower for the OPFOR unit on this roof. And they're all still alive up here, so they're able to maintain suppression on the attacking BLUFOR forces while, drawing their fire away and make sure that they're not able to advance at this time. But again, they're firing at the element that we deemed really couldn't advance forward and is going to have to advance to the sides to find an entrance to this compound or find this technical and ram the fence.
Chief went down.
Very
some accurate fire incoming.
Yeah, that's a lot of fire, but look at that. Sklor and the 48th MI and Bravo Company guys advancing a lot closer to the REDFOR positions inside that building. And hold on, is that a BLUFOR? This can't be right. I'm getting a BLUFOR dot inside that building, and he's about to come out on the roof. Oh man, look at this one guy.
Oh my god, how did he get there?
Oh my gosh, ladies and gentlemen, the unit on top of this roof has been totally destroyed by this flanking BLUFOR force. Props to this guy. My god, we didn't even see him approach, and now he's right on top and have flanked the defensive OPFOR units near this rock structure. What an amazing movement by that single unit. And ladies and gentlemen, that just goes to show how one unit can change the whole, momentum of a match, as those OPFOR BLUFOR units are now in a very good position to assault this OPFOR held compound.
MVP.
Definitely. Wow, I have no clue how we got up there. I thought it was a glitch to begin with, to be honest.
Well, holy cow, I have no idea. I did not see that, to be honest with you.
No. Well, looking over at the BLUFOR units by that lake, advancing towards the building complex, they've been thinned out quite a bit, Don. There's not much guys left. I believe four soldiers left on that flank. It's going to be a very tough approach for this flank of BLUFOR, and I'm not sure if they can pull it through.
I mean, if they can hold the up for attention, then I mean they're doing very well. Right now we have 12 blue 4 to 17 op 4, and most of the op 4 are in those buildings, so that one's
And
pretty much wide open.
that flank that we mentioned earlier has come to fruition as all the op 4 units by the mining complex, as well as the rock structure in front of it, have gone down. So that rear flank is now open for blue 4 attack. Huh. And we see now that the blue 4 units deciding to make their way towards the side bunker, advancing towards the front of the compound. But even then, I don't see any openings nearby. Ooh, they decided to try to blow a hole in this fence, but unfortunately, the fence does not give way and maintains. This is one mighty fence, Don, as those fences stay up, and they're forced, if they don't have any other explosives, to continue their advance towards the front entrance.
I need to talk to that contracting company.
Yeah, oh man, they build indestructible fences. That is quite amazing on their part. Let's take a look back at the mining complex. Blue 4 forces taking up positions on the roof. He's hoping that there's no friendly fire going down, as this blue 4 unit on the roof is going to be faced with blue 4 coming up the stairs fairly soon. I'm not sure if even the blue 4 know he's up here. We surely didn't. Sklor climbing the staircases. Advancing weapons up, so there might be a friendly fire incident here. I hope not. Nope,
oh,
spots him right in time. Good, so no friendly fire.
Good.
But they are taking fire by
goodness.
friendlies on the other flank, so hopefully that gets communicated that there is in fact friendlies on top of that position. Hey Don, we gotta wonder, I'm not sure how much time is left in this match. It's gotta be under 5 minutes at this point.
Yes, definitely under 5 minutes. I don't know. I think the best chance for blue 4 is if Sklor's team decides to move in.
It makes a Hail Mary,
I don't see it any other way.
They've got lots of ground to cover, Don, before they make it towards the main objective, this radio communications tower. I'm not sure if they're able to do it. We can see on the side here, ladies and gentlemen, the unit list for which units are remaining. It still has an op 4 advantage in terms of the manpower left. But, I mean, strategically, blue 4 is in a pretty good spot if they can advance properly and get a hole in this fence, which they just can't seem to do. Will they glitch through it? Nope, not able to glitch through it. And there's not an opening in the fence for a long while. Very unfortunate.
Interestingly enough, though, the blue 4 have managed to almost even out the units.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably thanks to the massacre of op 4 units near this mining complex. That's managed to even out the odds, or the numbers rather, in this matchup.
I think a lot of props goes to the units that were on the opposite flank.
Yeah, most definitely. That they were receiving a lot of fire in this position, and because the units inside that mining complex were focused on attacking the blue 4 on this flank, they did not see the blue 4 coming up their own flank and destroying them on top of this roof. So great movement by blue 4 as they continue making the push towards the compound. And what's going to be facing them, Don? Some units inside a guard tower, one unit inside a 2-story building, but overall, not much on this flank.
Not at all. And you know what? If they move quickly enough, they might even win this.
Again, ladies and gentlemen, in Friday Night Fights, we have the rule that while there is a 45-minute round timer, if the match extends beyond that 45 minutes and the central objective is embattled or contested, we will extend the timer to let that battle play out. So right now it's up to the Friday Night Fight admins if they decide that the battle that's about to occur, if it reaches the point where it's good to continue it and extend the time of this matchup.
And I absolutely love that rule. I think it's great. It's not just like what happens. It's more like if you have the strength to pull it off, more power to you. And I love that I love that it's definitely like enticing you to take action.
Hey Don, take a look at Clicky in front of the large foliage in front of that op 4 2-story. Looks like one of his buddies died just outside his fence that he's crawling up to now. There's no way to enter the op 4 compound though through this approach.
I am very surprised that there's absolutely like no entrances in anywhere from.
There's only the two entrances in the very rear of the compound, as well as, I guess, looking towards the OPFOR side, the right side of the compound that is currently undefended and, you know, isn't fortified in any way in terms of fences. Huh. The BLUFOR still being very cautious on their approach. It's going to be up to the admins if this fight's worth it, and if they're going to let this this rearward element keep moving.
I think he will. I think if the fire keeps up, the match is definitely going to be extended. I think it's already extended, to be honest.
I think you're probably right. As we see OPFOR engaging the BLUFOR on their, I guess, their former friendly bunker. Anderson is still holding out in that rock. He's been there for 20 minutes holding firm against the OPFOR in that two-story, so good on him for holding his position.
Man's got
patience, most definitely. But looking at Clicky's old position, I don't see his body, but he was here earlier, and he ain't here now. I'm not sure what happened to him.
Well, OPFOR still have eyes in that direction, so just can't let your guard down.
The BLUFOR units inside that bunker, or I guess on the other side of that bunker, heavily suppressed, deciding to lay down to lessen the effects of the suppression and lessen their visibility.
Call GG.
Did he call GG? Definitely GG. Yep. Defenders REDFOR have come out with a victory and the win in this 9th episode of ARMA 3 Shoutcast. Thank you, Don, for commentating with me.
My pleasure.
And we will see you in the next Shoutcast.